Hey everyone, Ash here. Just a heads up, this video will contain spoilers for Power Ranger Beast Morphers Season 2, so if you don't want to be spoiled, click away right now because these episodes, as of recording this video, have yet to air in the US. So if you don't want to be spoiled, click away right now because things are gonna get big. Anyway guys, with that said, enjoy the review and I hope you guys stick around for the video. Hey there folks, Ash here and welcome to another Power Rangers Beast Morphers Season 2 review. In this video we're going to be talking about episode 11/episode 12 or episode 12/episode 11, whatever you want to call it. Now, this wraps up the whole Space Captain Chaku arc and I enjoyed this arc quite a fair bit. I mean, it was a pretty strong two-parter. It had its moments that were a bit weak and didn't stand on their own that well, but overall it was a nice little arc that had a conclusion. And if we're not going to be seeing Chaku ever again, then I'm totally fine with that, because if we never see him again or he never makes another appearance in Power Ranger Beast Morphers Season 2, then I am totally fine with that because he was a fun character and I enjoyed him quite a fair bit. I mean, they did as much as they could. They did as much as they could with his character and the footage they had to work with him, so props to the writers and props to the editors who made this character work in Power Ranger Beast Morphers, and special thanks to the actor who played Chaku. Now there's one thing I really did enjoy about this episode, and that is it's basically setting up for the Dino Team Up we'll be getting in the next couple of episodes, because there's a certain scene that happens that I'll get to later down the line that I'll talk about in the review, and it basically sets up for what's probably going to happen in the next couple of episodes, because I know the Dino Team Up isn't going to be an official two-parter like called the Grid Connection Part 1, the Grid Connection Part 2. I get the feeling that the Dino Team Up is going to have an arc, sort of like we've had with the Chaku arc, sort of like we had with the Steel stuff going on. That's what Beast Morphers has been doing over the past year since its run, like since Season 1 and Season 2, Beast Morphers has had arcs, and I get the feeling these mini two-parters are going to be the basically Dino Team Up, because the next episode is called Finders Keepers. Now, that could mean a lot of things, but who is called Keeper in Power Rangers, and have we heard that name before? So is that going to be setting up the Dino Team Up in the next possible couple of days? Who knows? Guess we'll find out. But like I said, when we get to that scene, we'll get to that scene and I'll definitely talk about it. So let's take it from the top and talk about Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode 11/episode 12, The Greater Good. So the episode begins with something already happening and the Rangers arriving on the scene, and that is Ryjack has been attacking Grid BattleForce and basically stealing Morph-X, because the scene is already set up with Gavin putting out a fire because Ryjack already stole some Morph-X, and they've been saying that, oh, he's been doing this for the third time this week, what is he up to? And I kind of like that because they don't have to really, it's basically a tell don't show situation that stuff has been happening since the last episode, and I know these episodes air week to week or you watch them in binge on Netflix and stuff like that, but it's a good way to do the tell don't show, and they show that time has progressed and Chaku has been sticking around for like a couple of weeks, or at least a week at this point, I'm guessing. So it's a really cool thing they did with the story and the writing, that time has passed by and the bad guys are still doing their things, and the Rangers and Chaku are trying to stop Ryjack. So Ryjack is basically digging himself underground because he wants to get into that vault. There's a lot of valuable stuff in that vault that he wants to get because he's a treasure hunter or something like that. He's a thief, he steals stuff, he wants Power Ranger goodies. So he's trying to steal the stuff, and Commander Shaw says, "Hey, Chaku, you've been a really good help. We'd be honored if you come work with us once Ryjack is gone." And Chaku is very hesitant. He's like, well, I don't know, I guess I could if it's for the greater good. And they're like, yay, we've got a new ally. And And Jakku also name drops that he's got something called Reptilia Beast, which is basically his mecha or his Zord, whatever you want to call it. So he's got his own little mecha that's going to show up later throughout the episode, because he's like, oh, when Reptilia Beast shows up, Ryjack's going to be in trouble. So yeah, they're sort of setting up that little plot line throughout the episode. So that's really cool. And we actually get to see Reptilia Beast in the episode, which I'll get to in a bit. So the bad guys are digging underground, and the bad guys that we know, Evox's team, are basically using Ryjack because they're making him do the dirty work, steal the Morph-X, so Evox can get powered up, because Ryjack, although he's smart, he's not that smart if he's being played by Evox, Scrozzle, Blaze, and Roxy, and all those folks. I mean, Ryjack's got the tech, but he probably doesn't have the brains to outsmart these villains, so it is what it is. So Ryjack's digging underground, and Jakku moves into Grid BattleForce, and he's got a little plant. It eats Ben and Betty. That's the joke of the episode. I mean, it's a giant CGI plant. I mean, what can I say about it? They get eaten by it. They get spit out. They're covered in goop and slimy stuff. It's alright. I mean, it's a Ben and Betty joke. I mean, they're basically the norm at this point, where something CGI happens or they fall over or something. I don't know. I love Ben and Betty, but their jokes are basically growing. They've grown on me, but now they've tired me out, because I kind of know what they're doing after a while, and they do have their little Bulk and Skull theme when something Ben and Betty is going to happen in the episode. It is what it is. So, Jakku is talking with his daughter after Ben and Betty leave, and Nate walks in and he overhears the conversation that Jakku is staying on Earth even though he's got a kid and they live really far away. So, Nate confronts Jakku and he's like, hey, I overheard you talking to your daughter. And Jakku's like, you did now, that's none of your business. And Nate gives this big speech saying, hey, why can't you go back? Because you've got a family and you love them, just go back to them because you miss them and you love them so much. And Jakku's like, well, I can't go back. And then he takes off his helmet and it's revealed that he's a person under that suit, or well, a cyborg under that suit. And they say, well, they turned me into a cyborg because they would give me super strength, super cyborg strength to fight bad guys. And I'm like, okay, that's alright. But Jakku as a cyborg, his outfit does look a little bit weird and funny. I mean, he literally reminds me of Kick Puncher from Community, if anyone gets that reference. I don't think anyone will get that reference, but that's the vibes I got because I've been binge watching a lot of Community on Netflix recently, but that's the vibes I got. So, Jakku looks alright under that, like, helmet. I mean, he's played by actor Jack Butchernan. So when I looked him up on the wiki after I did my review of last week's episode, he actually had a face from his IMDb. Now I didn't think we'd actually get a face behind the voice. I just thought, oh, he's got a face because that's on his online profile and they used it for the wiki. But no, they've got a guy under that suit, and this is what's really cool about the whole Jakku arc, is the character has an arc, which is really, really interesting. And while we're still on the topic of Nate and Jakku talking about being a parent and being really far away, Nate does give Jakku the speech saying, hey, my parents are all over the world and they're really far away and I miss them and I wish I could see them and I wonder what they're like. And that sort of wink wink, nod nod, hinting at an episode that's going to come later down the line. I won't say what happens exactly, but if you've been watching my videos as they've been coming out and you've been keeping up and remembering stuff, and you kind of know what Nate is hinting at, because the speech does go on for a fair bit when Nate says, I miss my parents and I kind of wonder what they're like and they're really far away. So that's sort of like a hint hint, nudge nudge, this might be a future episode later down the line. Also, before the whole Nate confronting Jakku part, we also get a scene where Jakku and the Beast Morphers fight Ryjack underground, and what's really interesting, Ryjack is still using his reanimator to make putties and Vivix work for him, which he was using to get Morph-X and dig underground to get to the Beast-X vaults, so that's really interesting. So the whole team of Rangers and Jakku, they defeat Ryjack and the day is saved for now, and then we get that scene when Nate confronts Jakku about his kid and how we learn that he's cyborg. So that happens. So the Rangers and Jakku get into a fight with Ryjack on the rooftop, and it's a really cool fight. I mean, it's a really fun fight. I mean, Ryjack's got that shield that gives the Rangers a hard time, and he's got the reanimator, and it looks like he's going to reanimate something, but they kick it out of his hand, and it kind of goes missing during the fight. No one pays attention to it. So while the whole fight's going on, and Ryjack jumps down and makes himself grow, I need to look up I'm on his wiki now. What did he use to make himself grow? He used an enlargement device, but he called it it starts with an A. I don't know, but he basically used an enlargement device that started with an A, and I'm pretty sure it's the Power Rangers reference, but because we have so many like enlargement devices and stuff like that in the series, like a lot of them all sound the same to me, or they all go over my head because they all sort of do the same thing eventually. But he basically had a device to enlarge himself and make him a giant monster. So while that fight's going on, Scrozzle sneaks by, my boy Scrozzle, and steals the reanimator, or the reanimizer, and he's stolen it. So we know what that's setting up for the next upcoming episodes in the Dino Team Up. If you kind of guess what might happen in this episode, we don't know who he's going to revive, but I've got a good guess we might bring back because I've seen the Sentai footage of the Dino Team Up. So guess we'll find out when the episode airs in a couple of days. So Scrozzle having the device is a good setup for the next upcoming episodes, and that's what I was saying at the start of the review, because no one paid attention to the device being destroyed, and I thought it would be left alone. But having Scrozzle come in as soon as he gets bigger, or they shift their attention away, is a really good way to move the story along, because they could have had Scrozzle pick it up off screen, but seeing Scrozzle pick it up and use it is a really good thing, because that's what Scrozzle's been doing ever since he appeared, like ever since when he sneaks into Grid BattleForce and steals the head for steel and stuff like that. Like, he's been stealing stuff and stuff like that. So I really do like nods and winks like that. Like, if you pay attention to it, like Scrozzle's got the reanimator, what is he gonna do next? Like, you can be left scratching your head. Oh, what are the bad guys going to do with this weapon and stuff like that? So, props to the writing and stuff like that. Again, props to Campbell for his performance as Scrozzle in the episode. I think he only got a few lines here and there, but I do like hearing him as Scrozzle in the episode. So, everyone did a really good job in this episode when it comes voice acting wise and stuff like that. I really did enjoy them. Plus, it was cool to see Blaze and Roxy once again in this episode. So Ryjack gets big, and the Rangers and Jakku fight it in their giant beasts and their mechas and their mechazords. And I will point this out about Reptilia Beast, because someone's definitely going to point it out in the comment section if I don't address it. Yes, Reptilia Beast does kind of look like Serpentera. It is what it is, but I think there's no connection there. If you've seen Space Sheriff Gavin, then you kind of know what it's based on. It's a giant mecha shapeshifter thing that changes forms, so it is what it is. Either way, it looks pretty cool. I mean, it's a giant space dragon, space lizard, space snake, whatever you want to call it, but hey, its design is really cool. So Ryjack's destroyed and the day is saved. So after that, we then cut back to Grid BattleForce, and Nate has made an invention for Jakku, and what he's made is the DNA pods that we saw at the start of the season, well, season 1 I'll say, at the start of the series of Beast Morphers entirely. And Nate goes, hey, these can make animal DNA go into humans, and that's how we became Rangers. So what if we reverse it and you get in there? So Jakku gets in there, he gets inside the pod, and then he becomes human again. He's no longer a cyborg, he's no longer a robot man, he's no longer Kick Puncher. So yeah, he gets a happy ending, which is pretty cool. I mean, his arc is wrapped up in a really good way that I will say I did enjoy it quite a fair bit. I mean, you find out that he's human, they find a way to rescue him. I mean, Nate does invent something that does save the day, so I wonder if Nate inventing this device is going to play a role in the season later down the line when the Rangers lose their powers or they want to retire. Who knows, because I understand this device was meant to save the day for Jakku and give him a happy ending, but will this device play a part in the series later down the line? Who knows, but yeah, the day is saved, we get a Ben and Betty joke at the end, and laughs all around. So overall, it's a pretty fun episode, I enjoyed it quite a fair bit. And that's pretty much the end of the episode and the end of the review. Overall, I really enjoyed the Space Sheriff Chaku stuff, or the Space Sheriff Gavin stuff. I think they handled it really well for with whatever footage they could work with. Like I said at the start of the review, I think they did a pretty good job with the character. I mean, they made him somewhat interesting. Like I've said several times, they gave him an arc, and that arc was wrapped up within this episode, and it's setting up for the stuff that's going to happen later down the line in the next upcoming episode. So I'm excited to see what they'll do with it, because I don't think Jaku is going to return ever again. Maybe he'll return if they adapt a different Sentai, maybe one set in space with a large ranger team. Who knows? That's a story for another day. Maybe a theory video for another day. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys around in the next video. Peace out, take care, all that good stuff. Have a wonderful day or night. Thanks for watching.